But Fitz, coming back to you, some of the news from the recruiting world that came out, it's been dribbling out. So anytime we get a Malachi Goodman update, we do want to talk about it here on the show. One of Penn State's top remaining 2025 targets. You wrote about this. So what are the highlights of what Penn State fans need to know today?
Yeah, one of the guys on 25. If you checked out yesterday, I had updates on four guys in the 2025 class. Not all are at the forefront of the mind right now. So definitely check that out on BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. But Malachi Goodman, I think, is the one that's in everybody's sort of radar right now because he seems to be inching closer to a decision. Malachi is on his own time. This is it's been an interesting recruitment in the sense that there's been no really real initiative in terms of making a decision. Of course, he's not forced to make a decision until he enrolls, but December is National Signing Day. But Penn State's still in it, Auburn's still in it, USC's still in it, but I really think it's coming down head to head, Penn State and Auburn. I know he likes both offensive line coaches, really big fan of Phil Troutwine, but likes both offensive line coaches at those schools, weighing the pros and cons, going to see if he's going to where he's going to fit in. I know, one of Penn State's pitches here, Auburn's got 5 offensive line commits in this class. Penn State does not. Of course, Auburn's still going after Andrew Babalola. And I butchered that in Kansas. He's, of course, Michigan's out there, Stanford's out there, Auburn's out there, Oklahoma. So a bunch of different schools going after him, but he's a 5-star, so he's going to get the attention. But Penn State awaiting a decision on Malachi Goodman. Don't think it's going to come this week. He wanted to decide before his season. That's not going to happen as they open, I believe, tomorrow night against St. Peter's Prep. So that's not going to happen right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if in a week or two we're talking about a decision for Malachi Goodman.
How important is he to the recruiting efforts in 2025, Fitz? I think this is something that obviously he's a very good player. And then there's a kind of, I think, a split opinion on Penn State's recruiting along the offensive line so far in this particular class. So just in your opinion, where do you think the class stands without him, and what can he do for that offensive line group?
Yeah, I think he's somewhere between really important and very important if you were going to put it on that scale. I mean, he's right at the top, right? Ryan, would you agree with that? He's
For
right at
sure.
the top of Penn
Oh
State.
yeah.
If you were having a big board, I think it would make sense to make him number 1 right now. Of course, still irons in the fire, and they're still going to check senior risers. They're going to check guys that maybe they'll circle back around with that they had on their radar before. But Goodman has been at or near the top of the board at offensive tackle for the duration, pretty much, right? They offered him last fall. Michael Carroll was in there, Zaire Addison was in there, a couple other guys circled through, but those 3, including Goodman, were kind of the top guys from the start. So I'm going to continue to watch his progress this fall. I know he's a big guy. He moves pretty well. He's gonna have to do some reshaping when he gets there, when he gets to college. But Penn State has seen guys like him before thrive. So I'm interested to see how his progress goes, and if he picks Penn State, which I think Penn State's got a really good shot right now. It's Penn State or Auburn. You've got a ton of things going Penn State's way. Of course, Auburn has had a really, really good class, really successful summer as well. But again, when you look at the facts here, he's been to Penn State a handful of times. On his official visits in June, didn't go anywhere in July, which was really interesting to me because, he could have gone anywhere, could have gone wherever he wanted, it would have been on his own dime, but he could have gone anywhere, stayed home, and now he still hasn't made a decision. So he is on his own pace. He is doing what he wants to do when he wants to do it. And I don't think we see a decision this week, but probably next week.
Ryan, any thoughts you want to add in here to this conversation, and generally your thoughts on Goodman?
Just for the most part, for a long time, I've wondered just how NIL will impact it. Right now, feedback seems to be like that's not at the very, very top. And look, outside of quarterbacks, maybe edge rushers, offensive tackles are some of the highest paid players out of high school right now. So when you see Auburn and you see USC and then you see Penn State, that always grabs my attention.
Yeah.
But again, the feedback has been pretty positive, I think, from at least a Penn State perspective, that does not seem to be the end all be all there. And that was something I've wondered just for months and months and months. So
we'll see. And what a fascinating dynamic, Ryan, that the offensive linemen are some of the higher priced guys, because obviously it's a premium position. You find a left tackle out of high school and you can make him a 2 or 3 year starter. Obviously it's worth it, but Malachi Goodman's going to redshirt. These guys are going to go to the next level, and they've got developmental work to do. So that's a lot of money tied up in offensive linemen. So I'm very curious to
Yeah.
see, especially, I mean, this is more from the Auburn side because you look at they've got 5 guys, and a couple of them would probably demand high dollar. Babalola would really demand the
Yeah.
top of that. But yeah, you said it. I don't think it's at the top of the list for Malachi Goodman. If it was, he probably would have committed to Auburn a while ago. So I
Yeah.
think that's encouraging if you're on the Penn State side.
And he had offers. Like this is, it's not like I talk often about how like NIL discussions really come strong at the end, but that doesn't seem to always be the case with Goodman because I think a lot of schools were trying to get him on board months ago. I mean, there was definitely talk that he had multiple 6-figure offers from other
Yeah.
schools, not necessarily from Penn State, and
It's interesting.
he didn't act on it then. So that's encouraging.
So you guys make a great point about the differences between high school and college in that development and some of the bust rate among offensive linemen. But it does seem that college football recruiting and NIL kind of are mirroring the NFL salary cap, where certain positions that are very valuable in terms of their importance to the team command a high dollar figure. But there is a big difference between a rookie first round offensive tackle, taking a guy that maybe has some developmental traits and investing that money. This is pre rookie wage scale sort of world for NIL recruiting, and it does provide I think a relief of what the differences at the two levels are in terms of the same problem but addressing it in different ways. What would he do? The last question here, and I know this is kind of an obvious one, but class of 2025, adding an offensive tackle, adding a guy with the kind of pedigree you guys have been talking about with the size and the length and the athleticism, and even if he has to work on some things, I guess I've just been monitoring the salvageability, as unfair as that might be, for this class of 2025. How far along does he push that, Ryan, if he were to commit to the Nittany Lions?
Certainly a great place to start. They're obviously they're at 23 commits now, and they're going to keep pushing for a lot of guys, who are committed elsewhere. So adding a top player like Malachi would be a great place to start with that. But, if they're going to finish this class how they want to finish it, which is maybe adding, another elite wide receiver. There's a couple guys. Obviously, we've talked about Brandon Finney a ton, corner who's committed to Oregon. Adding any of these guys, if they're able to flip them down the stretch, would certainly add to the stock of the class. But time will tell on that one. I think it's kind of one of those days. Like right now, it's just like let's see if they can get Malachi on board and take it from there.